In episode 4, when Max snaps out of it, she tells the group exactly what's going on. And the scary part is that Chrissy and Fred started experiencing symptoms about 7 days ago. She started experiencing them about 5 days ago. So she might have a day or two to live. They then hear something outside, and Steve goes to investigate it, holding a lamp with plans to smash whoever it is. But it ends up being Lucas. Lucas tells the group about what's going on with Jason, but as Dustin puts it, yeah, that's cool, man. We've got bigger problems than Jason. Nancy, Dustin, Robin, Steve, Lucas, and Max all slept at the Wheeler household. They realize a few things. The first being that 11 did not open up the gate. It's been there for a while. They also realize they need to talk to the one person who survived Vecna, Victor Creel. Finding out why Vecna is doing what it's doing is pointless if they're all dead. So Nancy and Robin forge some fake GPAs as Notre Dame students who want to talk to Victor about a thesis study. They shoot him down pretty quickly, so they decide to meet with the insane asylum director. Figure maybe they can charm him into talking to Victor that way. While this is a great plan, Steve's a little pissed off about the fact that he's not included. He once again has to be a, quote, babysitter. It's a pretty important job, though, as Nancy points out. You've got Max, who might be living her last day. So whether he likes it or not, it's going to be Robin and Nancy going there and pretending to be academic scholars. Nancy and Robin head off, and Steve just heads back down to the basement. It is pretty awkward down there. Max knows that she's the elephant in the room. To kill some time, though, she writes each of them a letter, including letters for her family and even one for Billy. She gives it to him and says that it's just a failsafe in case she ends up dying. But Max also isn't going to spend her last day in a basement. She exits the Wheeler house because she's got places to go, and even though Steve doesn't want to take her to any of those places because it's dangerous, she's threatening to call kidnapping, and he doesn't have a choice. The first stop on the Max Mayfield tour is her trailer. She drops off the letters to her family, but she notices that her mother is outside, and she goes to talk to her. She explains to her mom that she just dropped off some letters with everything that's going on outside with a murderer being on the loose. She just wanted to be better safe than sorry. All this talk actually scares Max's mom a little bit. She feels like something's going on, but Max assures her nothing's going on. She gives her mom a hug, but then her mom turns into Vecna. He tells her that her time is almost at an end, and he scares the crap out of her. When she snaps out of it, her mom is nowhere to be found. When she returns to the car, she is visibly upset, but she doesn't tell the guys what happened, just saying that they need to go to the cemetery. When they arrive, she starts to walk off to Billy's headstone, but Lucas stops her and says, I know something happened back there with your mother. What was it, Vecna? And Max tries to put on this strong face, but Lucas tells her, you can talk to me. Max tells him, I know that. And Lucas asks her, then why do you keep pushing me away? Like, I don't need a letter. I don't want a letter. I just want you to talk to me. We're your friends. We're right here. But even though Lucas wants her to talk to him, she doesn't. She tells him to go back to the car. It won't be long. While Max heads off to go find Billy's headstone, Robin and Nancy have arrived at the asylum. Their act does work. It takes a little bit of convincing, though. Mainly an inspired speech by Robin about how she's never been taken seriously in the field because she was a woman, and she wanted to get in the field because of the Victor Creel story. She wanted to meet her inspiration. The head of the asylum reluctantly agrees to let the girls meet with Victor for a little bit. On the way over to Victor's cell, he's showing them the grounds. They have an outdoor area that, theoretically, most of the inmates could try to escape from, but as he tells them, they never do. They like it here. They also have an indoor area with a bunch of record players and old 45s because research shows that music can help get to those hard-to-reach places of the brain. All of those places, though, are pretty nice looking. Where Victor Creel is not. He is in the basement, in a cell, secluded. With just Nancy, Robin, and Victor there, Nancy tells Victor that they believe his story. Because whatever killed his family, they think it's back, and they need his help. When Victor actually comes in the light, though, you see that his eyes are sewn shut. And being in an insane asylum for all those years has really taken its toll on him. But the story he tells them is about 14 years after he left World War II, him and his family got this gorgeous house, and it was perfect. They had 1 month of peace in that house before his son, Henry, started thinking that something was wrong with it. At first, it was minor things like dead animals, and the police would blame it on like a lone fox or a wolf. But these weren't just dead animals, they were mutilated. Next, his wife would start seeing things like a ton of spiders crawl out of the bathtub, only later to find nothing there at all. As Victor tells the girls, whatever it was seemed to take pleasure in tormenting them. And it wasn't long before Victor started seeing things himself. He became convinced that this demon was hiding and nesting somewhere in the shadows of the home. Then one night, as the family's eating dinner, the radio turns on by itself. And then, out of nowhere, Victor's wife's body goes straight up and lands into the ceiling, just like Chrissy's. Victor's wife was the first to die, and when it happened, Victor tried to get the children out, but he couldn't. He was seemingly locked in the house, and when he finally got the door open, he wasn't in Hawkins. He was back in a nightmare from the war. He was convinced the demon was taunting him, and it was only a matter of time before he died just like his wife. But then he heard another voice. As he puts it, it was the voice of an angel. He followed that voice and was able to snap out of this dreamlike state, but what he found was really a nightmare, because the demon had taken both of his children, killing his daughter and then putting his son Henry into a coma. A week later, he died. They locked up Victor, and he tried to join his family by stabbing both of his eyes out, but that didn't work. They just threw him in the insane asylum. Nancy asks him, "Who is this angel that you followed?" And Victor just starts humming a song. They're not able to ask him any more questions because the head of the asylum shows back up and knows that they're faking it. The jig is up. He tells them that he's going to escort them to his office where they'll wait there for the cops. As the girls are walking over to the office, they start talking about what Victor said, this angel. And they realize that the song he was humming was a song from Ella Fitzgerald, whose voice was like an angel. Then they remember what the director said about how music can reach parts of the brain that normal people can't. So maybe the song helped him get out. The girls need to get this information to Max ASAP, and they're not about to wait around for the cops. So they just take off running to the car, and they're able to beat the guards and get the hell out of there. But as soon as they get in the car, they get radioed by Dustin because they have a massive problem. Max found Billy's grave, and she apologizes for everything that happened between the two, thanking him for the sacrifice that he made. But then she's visited by Vecna. The guys were waiting at the car, but they figured that it was just taking too long. And when they went to go check on her, her eyes were rolled into the back of her head, and they knew they had a problem. And they certainly do. Max is in the Upside Down yelling for her friends as she tries to avoid Vecna at all costs. At first, she's in the graveyard of the Upside Down, surrounded by red smoke. But the more she goes deeper into the cemetery, she comes across a house that seems to be blown up. Vecna asks her, "What are you doing in here?" Suddenly, she makes one wrong step, and she steps on a spider egg, and a bunch of baby spiders pour out of it, and there's a bunch of spider eggs around. She backs up away from the spiders, and she notices that Chrissy's body is entangled in a tree, and so is Fred's. All the while, Vecna is telling her to come back to him. And then suddenly, Vecna makes an appearance, asking her if she wants to join Chrissy and Fred. She goes to run away, but Vecna is able to get one of his vines to grab her ankle and pull her back in. She's then tied up to a tree, just like Chrissy and Fred. At this point, though, Robin and Nancy have let the guys know about the music, so they've been able to locate Max's favorite song, pop it in her cassette player, and put headphones on her. So in the Upside Down, she can hear Kate Bush. And when that happens, you can see a little opening back to the real world. Vecna isn't concerned, though. He tells Max, "They can't help you. There's a reason you hide from them. You belong here, with me." Then Vecna gets ready to touch Max's face. And in the real world, Max starts levitating up. With her life about to end, she starts thinking about all the good times she had with her friends, and mainly Lucas. And for whatever reason, the vines let go. Max is able to grab Vecna's throat and pull at it, injuring him. She takes off running towards the opening, and Vecna starts dropping things out of the sky to try to stop her. But none of it works. Max is able to get out, her body dropping to the ground, and she's fully alive. Now, none of her friends in Lenora know anything about this. Will, Mike, and Jonathan are sitting in Jonathan's living room as this woman from the government tells them about what happened to Eleven. They're very hesitant to trust these people, but as she puts it, 11 trusted us, so you should too. She then hands Mike a letter that 11 wrote Mike, and Mike goes upstairs to read it alone, and it just says, "Dear Mike, I've gone to become a superhero again. From L." With that message, they agree to let the government types hang around. They're not under house arrest, but they're basically under house arrest. They have two guys in suits with guns who are, quote, keeping them safe. They've also taken the phone off the ringer so nobody can call the house. Anytime you call, it's just busy. Even though there's clearly a danger, Will, Mike, and Jonathan don't want to sit on the sidelines. They have no idea how long this is going to take. Mike's big concern is the fact that the last time he talked to 11, it was after a huge fight. Will assures Mike that he will see her again, and whatever it is he didn't say then, he can say to her. Oh, and Mike and Will end up making good on their relationship as well. Now it's just a matter of getting to Elle. They know Elle is going to Hawkins, so they just got to meet her there. That's not going to be easy, though. They don't have a car and they don't have money, so Jonathan's idea is getting Argyle. He convinces the government types to order pizza from Argyle's pizza place. As the group waits for Argyle to show up, they start packing up. They then hear the doorbell ring and they think, all right, pizza. But it's not Argyle. It's military. They shoot the guy who answers the door right away. So the kids are down to having one guy with a gun who knows what he's doing to protect them. And he does a pretty good job. He stays calm, taking these soldiers out one by one. But eventually, he's shot as well. The kids end up running him out of the house just in enough time for Argyle to pull up. And they throw him in the back seat and tell Argyle, get out of here now. You got to figure Joan is not going to be too happy about this when she gets back. She was trying to reach the kids, but she was getting that busy signal that they set up. Murray tells her that everything's probably fine because they're there to do something. They're there to get Hopper back, and they cannot miss that window. They head on over to Yuri's fishing fly, and they meet up with him, and he seems like a fun guy. They hand him the money, and Yuri starts counting it up, and sure enough, it's $40K, just like they agreed upon. But before Yuri wastes the gas, he wants to make sure that Hopper is still alive. And Hopper is very much alive, and he was able to escape. It took a lot, but he was able to create a distraction by blowing up a shed, hopping on a snowmobile, and locating the stash house where Yuri puts all the goods that he smuggles in. So Hopper's just chilling in the stash house, waiting for Yuri to arrive. But Yuri isn't coming. When Yuri told Joyce and Murray that he was calling up to make sure Hopper is still alive, in reality what he was doing was calling up Enzo to tell him that he's changed the deal. He's going to keep the money, and he's going to get even more money for turning Murray and Joyce into the KGB, and then he's going to get a third payday by turning in Enzo. Enzo gets arrested, the stash house gets busted in by the KGB, Hopper's taken back to prison, and Joyce and Murray are drugged and tied up. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it, smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.